Today we are going to learn about wind energy, but before that I would like to ask you, do you remember what we had studied in the last video? We had studied about hydropower plants and biogas plants. Let us continue with the lesson sources of energy and begin learning about wind energy and non-conventional sources of energy. Students, in class 9 we had learned about unequal heating of land mass and water bodies by solar radiation and how it generates air movement and causes winds to blow. This kinetic energy of the wind can be used to do work, and it can also be used to generate electricity. So wind energy can be used to generate electricity. So this diagram over here represents a windmill. Windmill essentially consists of a structure similar to a large electric fan that is erected at some height on the rigid support. To generate electricity, the rotatory motion of the windmill is used to turn the turbine of electric generator. So when this fan moves, it rotates, then it forces the turbine to generate electricity. There are few points that we should remember, that we should note when we talk about wind energy. Those points are: the output of a single windmill is quite small and cannot be used for commercial purposes. Therefore, number of windmills are erected over a large area, which is known as a wind energy farm. The energy output of each windmill in a farm is coupled together to get electricity on a commercial scale. So when we think of using a wind energy and constructing a windmill, we should always remember that a single windmill cannot suffice the purpose of generating electricity, because that electricity will not be enough for a region. So we have to erect lot of windmills in a farm or in an open area where there is a wind basically, and then we can make use of that electricity for a domestic purpose. Let us learn some important facts about wind energy. In overall world, Denmark is called country of winds. Do you know why? Because more than 25% of their electricity needs is generated through these windmills. In terms of total output, Germany is leader, whereas India ranks 5th in harnessing wind energy. It is estimated that 45,000 megawatts of electric power can be generated if India's wind potential is fully exploited. So it is not yet exploited. It is not yet used. The largest wind energy farm in India, we find it in Tamil Nadu near Kanyakumari. It generates around 380 megawatts of electricity. Now let us learn about advantages and limitations of wind energy. First we will learn about advantages. Wind energy is an environment friendly and efficient source of renewable energy. It requires no recurring expenses for production of electricity. Now let us learn about limitations of wind energy. Firstly, wind energy farms can be established only at those places where winds blows for the greater part of the year. So utmost important part of this is blowing of wind, and it should be there for major part of the year. Second point, the wind speed should be always higher than 15 km per hour to maintain the required speed of the turbine. Third, There should be some backup facilities like storage cells to take care of energy needs during a period when there is no wind. Establishment of wind energy farms requires large area of land. So if we have large area of land, then we can make use of wind energy. There are few more limitations of wind energy. For 1 megawatt generator, the farm needs about 2 hectares of land. So such a vast area of land is needed to generate electricity using wind energy. Another point is the initial cost of establishment of the farm is quite high. So individual person cannot invest such a great amount. Moreover, since the tower and blades are exposed to vagaries of nature like rain, sun, storm and cyclone, they need a high level of maintenance. So these were the few limitations of wind energy. Now comes the next part of the lesson, which is non-conventional sources of energy. Non-conventional sources are also called as alternative sources of energy. As our demand for energy increases, we need to look for more and more sources of energy. We cannot depend on conventional sources because there is a limitation for its use. So we had to find out new sources. We could develop the technology to use the available or known sources of energy more efficiently and thus look for a new source of energy. This new sources of energy is termed as non-conventional sources of energy. Now, let us see some examples of non-conventional sources of energy. So, the first example of non-conventional sources of energy is solar energy, widely used in India, in many parts of India, and this becomes our first example of non-conventional sources of energy, that is solar energy. Then comes energy from sea. We can use such turbines to generate electricity from the motion or the water currents underneath the sea. So this is energy from sea or ocean. Then comes geothermal energy, and this particular example belongs to dry steam power plant. And then there is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy also generates a lot of electricity. We can generate a lot of electricity using nuclear energy. So this is also one example of non-conventional sources of energy. So what are the examples of non-conventional sources of energy? First, solar energy. Second, energy from sea. Third, geothermal energy. And fourth, nuclear energy. So these are the 4 sources of energy which are non-conventional in nature. Now comes the last part of the video, which is assignment. So first is fill in the blanks. In that, first one is wind energy can be used to generate dash. I repeat, wind energy can be used to generate dash. Second, establishment of dash requires large area of land. Establishment of dash requires large area of land. Then there is a short note on windmills. You have to write a short note on windmills. And last question is, what are the different non-conventional sources of energy? So you have to give examples of non-conventional sources of energy. So that was all for today, students. If you have any doubts regarding today's video, feel free to ask me. So study sincerely. See you in next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.